I'm Luke Patterson, and I'm here to talk to you about our new product, WP Engine Smart Search, as well as a beta feature of that product that we're calling AI-powered hybrid search. And I wanted to start with why. Why would we do any of this? First, we do it because it's hard. Search is a difficult technical challenge, and there are a lot of places where this remains unsolved, including default WordPress search. And there's a lot of really smart people working on search at any given time and still struggling to get it right. And so what that means is that those who can get it right really produce a massive boon for their customers, who themselves are able to then pass that boon on to their users, who, in this case, are the folks who are visiting your WordPress sites. And so solving search for WordPress in particular, it's niche enough that there really aren't that many great search solutions out there. And so this, of course, to us, represents a really, really great opportunity to really provide a lot of value back to the WordPress community. And so to that point exactly, we also want to do search because it is so important to website owners, especially the ones that host with us, to get right. So visitors to modern websites consider search functionality a part of the site's navigation. So for better or for worse, they expect a Google-like search experience no matter where they go. And actually, now they might even begin to expect something closer to a GPT-like experience. And so that is, of course, one of the tie-ins to our AI search beta, which I'll be talking a little bit more about later, and I'll be showing you a little bit more about later. So speaking of Google-like, I stole this slide from Google Next. So just to show that even for Google, this problem is difficult. It is difficult to understand user intent. And it is difficult to react to that intent in a way that's appropriate to the customer in the particular situation. So, by the way, at WP Engine, we actually use a phrase called intent-driven design when talking about understanding and reacting to intent. It's a really interesting way to frame this problem set. Maybe I can give another talk on that sometime. Something to look forward to for next year's Decode. All right, anyway, so search is not just valuable to get right. It is also costly to get wrong. So you can see from the stats here, 82% of customers avoid websites where they've had search difficulties. So we're going to talk a little bit about the implications of that here in a bit, but it's a big number, but it's Google, so you can trust them. And also it kind of like fits with our experience, right? If you're going somewhere and searching for something and you can't find it, that's an extremely frustrating experience. Okay, so imagine that you're a website owner, and actually a lot of you probably are. So imagine that you're a website owner, and you spend a bunch of money on SEO and ads and all of that. Great, it gets a user on your site. Awesome. So that user is going to be there probably because they want something. So this is what we call a high intent user, and they are the most valuable visitors on any given website. So this high intent visitor, they head to the search bar and they are literally typing in the exact thing that they want. So this is why we say high intent. They are telegraphing their intent word for word by putting it in the search bar. And if it returns nothing, either because of a misspelling or an ACF field that didn't get indexed or whatever, they're going to bounce and they're not going to buy, and they're probably never going to come back like we saw. And so the opportunity for us here is that default WordPress search just doesn't really handle these modern search scenarios and expectations. It doesn't index ACF fields or custom post types, so these things aren't going to be searchable. It doesn't tolerate misspelling, so anything misspelled returns no results. You can't filter by date, by tags, none of that stuff. So yeah, to summarize, your highest value users who are at your site because they want something, they can't get it and they bounce, and you lose all that money that you spent on SEO because chances are they're never coming back. So that's not the experience that we want for the website owners that host with WP Engine. It's not an experience we want for anybody. So like we said, getting good at search is a really, really difficult problem. But one of the great things about the open and kind of community-driven nature of WordPress is that It gives lots of really smart people the opportunity to solve for this in lots of different interesting ways. And so as our team was thinking about how we wanted to solve the search problem, the approach we took was to make Smart Search really work how WordPress developers work. So we wanted to make our search solution deeply and profoundly integrated with WordPress, and to follow the mental models of WordPress developers, and to integrate effortlessly with the most popular WordPress plugins. And so for us, that of course means Smart Search had to work really, really, really well with ACF. So indexing ACF fields is just a notoriously hard problem for search in WordPress. And so of course, it's one of the places that we wanted to get right, like right out of the gate. And so what we do is we index and map your ACF fields right out of the box. Click of a button, no custom mapping, no shortcode, no code at all. You just get all of your ACF fields and all of your custom post types indexed by default in Smart Search. So that opens up a lot of possibilities for you. Now you can format your data however you want, and it's always going to be indexed for search, and it's always going to be updated in real time. And you can play with the weights, and you can play with what's displayed in the search results. And even beyond that, we think that our real claim to fame is that we do all of those things, and we also offload your index and your searches outside of WordPress. So what does this mean? It means that all of your data, all of your custom post types, all of your ACF fields, we're going to offload that data to a dedicated search server, so that any of those search requests coming in, they're not coming in back and hitting your WordPress MySQL database. And that heavy search index isn't just sitting on your WordPress server, slowing it down. And we actually see really phenomenal performance gains from this. So we have a customer that is doing something like 10 million searches per month. And I think their average like backend request search query response time was about 50 milliseconds. 10 million searches, 50 milliseconds, not bad. So offloading the search outside of your WordPress DB, plus automatically indexing all your custom post types and ACF fields, I mean, that's a place that we feel that we're kind of completely unique here. And again, hopefully working in a way that WordPress developers work. ACF, custom post types, and what we're really kind of trying to do at the end of the day is just make WordPress work better. And so this is one of the ways that we feel that we're kind of in that way a contributor back to the WordPress ecosystem out there by helping to solve this really thorny problem in what we hope is a really delightful way. So that's enough talking about it. The proof is in the pudding, obviously. So let me show you how all of this works.
Okay, so I am in Smart Search for the very first time, and I'm going to want to configure my searches to kind of control what folks are going to be able to see when they run a search on my website. So I've got some options up here. We're going to talk about those later. But first, I'm going to choose which fields I want to be searchable. And of those fields, which ones I want to give the most weight to in the results. And so searches that contain matches for the post title, I want those to show up first. I'm going to save that config. So what I'm going to do next is, and I'm only going to have to do this once, is I'm going to synchronize my data. And so what this does is it takes my data out of WordPress and it creates an offsite index in a specialized search server that is going to stay up to date automatically. So now I'm ready to search. All this data is going to be ready for me. And so let's search for the boys. And there you have it. So another nice feature here that you don't get with default WordPress, compound searches. So the two things are going to be in the search. It's going to return results for both. And keep in mind, folks, this is just the basics here. So there's a lot more to come for Smart Search. All right, so let's go back to that search config we were talking about earlier. And we're going to turn on fuzziness. So fuzziness, and there's a fuzzy distance toggle right over it that we're going to explain here in a bit. But what fuzziness means basically is that you're going to be able to misspell words. And the fuzzy distance is going to tell you by how many letters can you misspell that word. So you see we've typed in the boys. We're getting a few results because the is getting picked up. So look at that. The boys, we misspelled it, but we're still able to return the correct result in the search. So let's try something a little harder. that's also going to show us a little bit about how that fuzzy distance works. So look at that. We spelled the Mad-alorian instead of the Mandalorian. And now we've misspelled it by 2 letters. So I think we're going to need a fuzzy distance of 2 to still return good results that are misspelled by greater than 2 letters. So you can see we're going to search for Mandalorian. We still get the result. Let's go back to the config and go to that fuzzy distance of 2. All right, we've saved the config now. Let's try that one more time. Mandalorian. There we have it. And here's our fuzzy distance 2. We've misspelled by 2 letters. Aha, there we go. Now we're still returning results. All right, so it's one thing to say we work really, really well with ACF. So let's show you exactly how well we do. So we're going to go in to our movie website and create a new post type. This is a custom post type. And so it's going to be movies. And what we're going to show you is that it's going to be instantly searchable. So we're going to put this in. We're going to save our changes. And what's happening in the background is it is going to automatically detect and index. There you are, movies right there. So we're going to create a custom movie post, and the movie is Snakes on a Plane. That is a great movie. So we're going to publish this, and instantly this is going to be available to search. Don't believe me? Let's test it out right here. Snakes on a Plane. There we have it. So there is your ACF custom post type. You made it, it automatically detects it and indexes it, and now it is searchable instantly on your website. All right, so you're probably saying, Luke, well, is that it? And I'm here to tell you it's not. So we're going to try to do this with a new field group. And so we've got our movie website, and we want the actors in these movies also to be searchable. So we've got Cinema Darling, Pedro Pascal. We've got Carl Weathers. You can maybe guess where we're going with this. And so we're going to save. And again, what's happening in the background is all this is being indexed. So those that guess Mandalorian, you're right on the money. We want to make sure that Pedro Pascal, Carl Weathers are fields for this post. And so those are now going to be searchable as part of this post. Don't believe me? Let's search it right now. Pedro, where you at? Show me Mandalorian. And there we are, folks. Carl, there we go. Mandalorian. And so again, this is all just kind of happening in the background. No custom mappings. You just get this with Smart Search.
We wanted to show you how the base search product worked before we talked about our exciting new AI-powered hybrid search and show you a demo, because I think it's really important to kind of lay the foundation of how do we get the data out of WordPress and into an index? Because once it's in an index, there's actually a lot of really cool things that we can do with that data. And so for AI-powered search, the thing we do with your search index is behind the scenes, we're going to run a machine learning model on it. And we're going to turn your index into something called a vector database. So without getting too deep into vector technology, the end result is that after we run that machine learning and after you get that vector database, is you can run natural language searches against that vector database. So this means you bring your search experience a lot closer to something like ChatGPT or like Google than you would have with what's called like a basic keyword search, which is the thing that we just demoed for you. But we all know that there's some things that ChatGPT does really well. There's some things that it doesn't, like all the hallucinations and all that kind of stuff. And so the industry standard here is actually to combine the results from the vector search, that's the GPT-like one, with the results from the basic keyword search, which is the one that I showed you just a minute ago. And to zipper up those two result sets, I'm using another algorithm that ranks the relevancy. And so that's called a hybrid search. And with a hybrid search, that's what we're going to be doing in this demo here in our beta. So with this, we feel kind of get the best of both worlds. And once again, with Smart Search, you're going to get it without writing a single lick of code. So I won't belabor this too much, even though I'm really excited about it, because once again, the showing here is so much more compelling than the telling. So let's dive right in. I'm really stoked to show you all this.
Okay, so we're going to get into our AI-powered search, and that's the hybrid search that I was just talking about. So once we go in, we're going to go ahead and enable that. And we're going to move that slider from full text search to a mix of both semantic and full text search. What does that mean? So full text search is the demo that you just saw earlier. The search is going to try and match the exact word you typed in, maybe with some fuzziness, to a word that is in the post or the field. Semantic search, what we're about to do with that is we're going to take that post content that you just selected and we're going to run machine learning on it so that you can make inference and do semantic search, which is a little bit more Google-like, a little bit more GPT-like than your regular keyword search. And so when somebody searches, and we'll show you how this works here in a second, it's actually going to combine those results and rank them using an algorithm on the background. So look what we can do when we enable that semantic search. So we've got our movies here. We're going to be able to type in a full phrase, caught up in financial misdeeds. So these words don't really appear anywhere in the post, but what inference and semantic search means is, hey, look at that. We can now display you shows about people or with themes of being caught up in financial misdeeds. And so you see Ozark here, you see Schitt's Creek here. That's some pretty incredible inference on behalf of this search engine. All right, so let's try some more searches. Characters are superhuman. So you're almost able to ask this search bar kind of a question. Let's see what kind of results we get here. Look at that. The Boys, Umbrella Academy, WandaVision. You're right on the money with an inference about what we're searching for here. So we're moving away from you have to directly match the keyword to, hey, you can just kind of tell me in plain language what it is you want. Search for it and get really, really great results. And so, hey, people getting revenge, those that have watched The Witcher, those that have watched Loki, those that have watched The Flight Attendant, pretty incredible what the search can infer once you run that machine learning on your content there.
So I want to bring this slide back up because of how much better the search results are with that hybrid search as you just saw. So kind of tying it all back, much better search results mean much better conversion for your visitors. It means a much better experience for them on your site, and it means a much better perception of your brand. And so the tech, the AI hype train, all that stuff is obviously really, really cool. But what's cooler than being cool? Double-digit increases in conversions that you can then take back to your boss and your clients. That's what's cooler than being cool. Okay, so this part, thank y'all, is called the call to action. And so I am calling on you, good folks of the audience, to reach out to WP Engine. Reach out to us. Go to our website. If you've got a rep, call them up, sign up for this beta. We want to hear from you. We want to get this awesome tech onto your website. So stay smart, stay searching, folks, and thank you very, very much.